Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. 4 topics for this video. First one, another major Russian drone attack on Ukraine. I have to tell you that the number of drones launched by the Russians is suspect to me, and I will explain. I will show on the map the targets were hit or not, the Ukrainians' success in downing the Russian drones, and so on. But I will discuss the number. To me, it sounds very ridiculous. Second topic, Romania is activated. I am inclined more and more to say, and I will say it, that Romania will be pushed forward almost as badly as Poland. There, Romania is opening its mouth too much for the situation that cannot be handled by Romania. But since Romania is not a free, independent, sovereign country, according to my assessments, the Romanians will do what they're told. And a little provocation of the Russian bear could occur due to the Romanians feeling too strong or maybe pushed too far by the boss. So we're going to discuss that one. Well, the Ukrainians don't only have or will have more F-16s, but they will have Gripen and Eurofighter jets. Now, Gripen is a Swedish fighter jet, and the other one is a combination between a few European companies, but mainly is a European Eurofighter Typhoon. So it's a kind of British, built by the British, but nevertheless, they want that to be operating in the Ukrainian skies. So we're going to see some of those shut down accidentally, as the F-16 was. And that's 2 articles on that one. And then the last topic, Zelensky signs a law increasing Ukraine's military spending. What is Ukraine producing in order to be able to fund its military defense spending? Where is that money coming from? Who's paying for that? Now, the budget is going to get to about $90 billion. I will show you the list of the countries who are not militarized, are just, defending themselves. I wonder against whom. So let's start with the first article. And it is coming from Ukrainska Pravda. Ukrainska Pravda, 9 hours ago, today on the 22nd of September 2024. Ukrainian forces shot down 71 Russian Shahed UAVs overnight. That's the evidence, right here, all of them. Ukrainian air defense units shot down 71 Russian Shahed loitering munitions on the night of 21 to 22 September. 6 more disappeared from radar, likely due to electronic warfare activity. So that would make what? 71 plus 6, it's 77. Out of how many? Out of 80. So according to the Ukrainians, 80 drones were launched and they destroyed 77. So that means 3 little Shahed drones, like those ones over there, hit targets, possibly. Now, those Shahed drones are not, don't have nuclear warheads or anything, so we'll find out within 48 hours. That's how much I give the Ukrainians to write articles telling us that, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of consumers, and I don't know, dozens of oblasts have no power. Remember, 3 drones escaped. All right, so let's go and see what else these guys are saying us, are telling us about this attack. The Ukrainian military noted the Russians had fired 2 Kh-59-69 air-to-surface missiles from the airspace of temporarily occupied part of Luhansk Oblast and launched 80 Shahed from the Russian cities of Yeisk and Kursk. So the cities Yeisk and Kursk. Obviously, those are, Kursk is right here. This is a map of Ukraine. Kursk is here, where the invasion occurs. And then Yeisk is across from the Sea of Azov in this tip right here. This is Yeisk. So the Russians launched from Yeisk where my strong hand is, and in the north of Yeisk is Kursk from here, from two sides. 80. Remember, Ukrainian air defense units were responding in Khmelnytsky. That's where the Ukrainians, not the Russians, Ukrainians have that airfield, one or two, I think, one for sure, that I can't remember, where they have F-16s. The military airfields over there could operate F-16s. Vinnytsia, Cherkasy, Kirovohrad, Zhytomyr, Kiev, Sumy, Poltava, Kherson and Mykolaiv Oblast. And this is Khmelnytsky. This is where the area where that F-16s could operate from. Then they say obviously Zhytomyr, Vinnytsia, Kiev, Cherkasy. Then you have here Poltava and this area. But my question is 80, or the problem. Let me explain. When the Russians pick their targets, do you think that they have 80 or 90 or 100 or 70 drones available and they just say, okay, send 3 over there, blah, blah, blah. So do you think that's how they start? They start with the number they have? Like, oh, 80. It's not 81. It's not 83. It's 80. And what I'm trying to say, you don't go by 80, 90, 100. You go by what targets you want to hit. You want to hit 235 or 269. You don't hit 260, 270. You hit 90. That's very suspect. I've been noticing this as a pattern in the Ukrainian reporting. They have straight numbers, clear numbers. 60. I don't think the Russians are doing like that. I think they're like, okay, let's see what targets are we going to have. And then after that, we figure out exactly how many drones. I don't think they go by 60, 70, 90. It's true that you have a number of drones or missiles that you have. Okay, this is how much we possibly have available. But if the targets are available and we want, according to our operation, to hit those targets, you're not going to end up at 60 or 80 or 90. I think this is an invention. I don't think that's accurate. I think these guys say, oh, they did 80, and then they give us this article where they say, well, 71 out of 80 plus, I don't know, 6 more that flew somewhere else, or suspect to me. Maybe I see too much into it. I don't think so. It's like, you know, you have a situation where you have an exact number. When do you have exact, like 3,000 or 6 million people died? Or I don't know, you know, no 6,000,001, not 5,999,999. No. That tells me actually they don't have the number. They didn't research the number. They just say it. Rarely you end up with a straight number. I don't know, 5,000, 9,000, 6 million. No, that's an approximation. It's a number. That's what it is. All right, so let's go to the next article from Ukrinform. Ukrainian forces shoot down 71 of 80 strike drones overnight. So again, they have here the evidence. Again, the same article, Yeisk and Kursk. That gets me to the second topic, which is Romania. I have bad news for the Romanians. Romania is increasing its ammunition acquisition. I said, okay, well, you're gonna have to pay your masters. I got that. And the masters have to pay their masters, which is military-industrial complex, one of the at least 3. The other one is the banking system and the energy sector. And calling on, and this is dangerous, NATO. So Romania is calling on NATO. This is United States of America, not, I don't know, Hungary, to react to Russian incursions as Ukraine war lingers on its doorstep. Why is, so you see, it's Russia is close to Romania's doorstep because the Russians invaded and the Russians got closer to Romania, not NATO got closer to Russia. No. So what are we talking about here? You see here, this is Romania, whatever it's still there, right there. This is Romania as well, but as of now is a country called Moldova. This is also Romania right here. I mean, I think, because these were territories taken from Romania by Stalin, by the Georgian, and given to Ukraine Socialist Soviet Republic. All right, right. In 1940, we're taken to an ultimatum. So nevertheless, so the Russians are here, obviously. NATO is here, right? NATO is here, and they say, well, the Russians attack these little guys here, and sometimes their missiles hit down here at the ports, all right, where the Danube River flows into the sea, and which is Brăila and Galați and Tulcea, this area, by Ismail and Reni. So the Romanians, for good reason, they protest. They should. The problem is, we know how things are. And you wouldn't be involved in this garbage if you would have played a different card. But since you are under military, economic, political, and social or cultural occupation, you're fucked. You do what these guys tell you. So they say, well, I want NATO to react. Why don't you react? I want you to react, Romania. I want you to tell the Russians, if that happens again, it's a declaration of war, and we're going to fuck you up. Why don't you show your little balls that you don't have? I tell you why. Because the master has a bigger plan. And the plan is, you're going to get involved. Poland is going to get involved. The Baltic states will get involved. Maybe Bulgaria will get involved. It seems to me that is going in that direction. What do you mean, ask NATO to react? Like what? Verbal reaction? They already did. Or military reaction. Remember, these guys, starting with Poland, they want to protect their territories, which is fine, by shooting down Russian missiles or drones coming their direction over the territory of Ukraine. So, if I show you this beautiful map, I tell you what these guys want, and you know it. And if that happens, Romania are going to be at war. And it's okay, you have children and husbands and all that. So here, this is it. So here is obviously Russia here. And if the Russians launch missiles towards, let's say, Lviv or this area, Poland, which is right here, this is the border with Poland, has or wants to have the right, or it doesn't even, this is what they want to do. They want to hit from their territory over Ukraine and destroy those drones coming their direction. Now, they don't say how far or how close their border, their direction. So let's say the Russians launch from Kursk going to, let's say, Lviv or Lvov. Coming our direction, isn't it? Coming our direction, and they, bam, hit it. So you see, actually, these guys are involved creating a no-fly zone over Ukraine. That's what they want to do. Now, if these guys start from Kursk and get right here, and the second it crosses, you're so good, as you say the Americans' weapons are, and you fuck it up right there. Well, I'm for that. I'm not for you shooting it down here, or here, or here, because that could be also used by the Russians in the same way. Why? You guys shoot it here, we're going to shoot right here because you attack our property. It's none of your business to be over that. Are you involved? No, we're not involved. NATO. And here is Romania. The same thing the Romanians want. So actually they want to, not the Romanians, they're going to be United States of America and all the other guys that occupy Romania militarily, I would say. They will try to get involved indirectly but directly. That's the point. And Romania will do that because Romania will be yes. So what are you going to do? Romanians are going to fight the Russians. Remember, do not conflate the Russians with the Soviets. Do not conflate the Russians with Stalin, Kaganovich, Yogoda, Trotsky, and many others. Beria. No, don't go to these guys. Those guys are not Russians. The ones that fuck you up. Don't conflate that with Anna Pauker, Hannah Robinson, or with Walter Roman. Those are not Russians. Don't conflate them. So whatever you learned in school, in your garbage school, about the Russians being actually, think about the Soviets. And when you think of Soviets, you have names. Bring them on. You got Khrushchev, and then from Khrushchev up, and you tell me Khrushchev, and then Andropov, and whomever, Brezhnev, and then Mikhail Gorbachev, and I think I'm missing one over there. Then you have these guys. Tell me those versus the ones I mentioned. You know about the ones I mentioned. Stalin, Lenin, Trotsky, blah, blah, blah. Those guys, yes, those guys did things to you, did things to us in the name of the Soviets. Not the Russians, and they were not Russians. And the other ones were Russians, and they did to you what exactly in the name of the Soviets? The crimes occurred before 1965, 1970, all right? and they were not Russians in charge of the Soviet Union. So don't conflate these things. I know some Romanians are to hate the Russians. I have nothing against those guys. I have nothing for them. I have something for the Romanians. But the problem is, the propaganda is you have to hate those guys that you're conflating with something else. A baboon in this case. So nevertheless, what are you going to do? The Romanians will get activated. Romania has nothing to say. It's not going to say yes, no, no. Remember, you have Joanna. Now probably is going to be a candidate, if I remember correctly, to the presidency. You know who Joanna is? You know who Joanna was? You know who his father? You know who's Joanna's father was? He was now the deputy secretary of NATO. I mean, just a position over there, picked and thrown over there. You know, he's coming back. Why? To rule. In the name of whom? You? You're going to get involved. You're going to get involved, and the Russians will have no patience with you. Unfortunately, let's go to the next topic. We find out that Ukraine, according to Ukrinform, in talks on delivery of Gripen Eurofighter jets. Head of Ministry of Defense. This is Umerov. He's a Tatar from Crimea. Tatar, okay? So remember Lenin, Stalin, Trotsky, Kaganovich. All these guys were not Russians. They were like a Tatar in Ukraine. Right? But he's in charge, supposedly, of the Ministry of Defense. The same the other guys were in charge of Soviet Union. So when the Russians, the real Russians, kicked those guys out with Putin, now Putin is under threat. Could that be something that is there? Or just, I don't know. They're out. He kicked the fuckers out. Now, I know Russia is a multicultural country, as they like to say it. But you know exactly who I'm talking about here, and not about Umerov. Umerov was put over there just because of Crimea. All right, so get support. They tried to do something in Crimea with, oh, the Tatars are oppressed over there in Crimea by the Russians. We have here a Tatar Ministry of Defense. See, the Ukrainians are protecting the minorities, and great, the other guys are oppressing the minorities. Therefore, a little revolution in Russia, because we are the countries of the West, which is the West is the best. Get here and do the rest, right? Is what Jim Morrison in The End song. So let's see what these guys are begging for. So Ukraine will soon have results regarding the delivery of various fighter jets to it. Now we have a commitment from the partners. Those are the masters, not the partners, to deliver F-16. Also, they are giving us a commitment to deliver Mirages. That's the French one. We are discussing commitments concerning Gripens, this is Swedish, which will be followed by Eurofighters. Boom. That is a very good list of platforms. Good, they will be shut down in the same manner as F-16s, and you or your Ukrinform will cover for how they were shut down accidentally, okay? And we are discussing when they start supplies. Soon we will have the results that will be announced. I hope we will inform you later. Good job, Umerov. Next one. Ukraine begs West for delivery of Gripen and Eurofighter jets. This is according to Sputnik, the Russians. And it's a Gripen right there, if I remember correctly. Now, Eurofighter. No, this is a Eurofighter, because we have the Eurofighter right here. But so Eurofighter is a European multinational twin-engine supersonic twin engine. Is it? It seems like. Where are you? Next to one another. They're small engines. By sub, this is Gripen. Right here. I think this was a Gripen. It's a mistake. It's not you. This is a Eurofighter. It seems similar. Typhoon. They look similar to me. And this in the picture. Eurofighter. 2 multi-engine. Twin engine. Okay, that's a sub is right here. Again, this is not a supersonic, a light single engine. So Gripen, the Swedish one, has one engine. It has almost the same shape and the other one is a double engine and has basically the same delta wing. All right, so these guys are ready to get them. Ukraine expects to receive 2 more fighter jet types, the Gripen and the Eurofighter, from these Western allies, and negotiations are currently underway. Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov said. You got that? So what do you think will happen? As I said before, if you can see it, if you can smell it, if you can touch it, if you can taste it, you're gonna hit it. I mean, there's no such thing as invisible or a perfect weapon or anything like that. So yeah, they will be shut down, and then I suspect that the Ukrainians will report this as accurate. Yes, a Typhoon was downed. Oh yeah, a Gripen was down, or a Mirage was downed in the line of whatever. But now the F-16s. Why? Because it's like an order. These guys put their weapons, and then they make advertisements. Oh, look what they did, look what they did. So the other baboons, they sell it. Why do you think these guys are allowed only now to sell their garbage or give it to the Ukrainians and not the F-16s? Well, it's like, for instance, with Elvis. Elvis, what, started in 1954, 50, something like this. And he got a long way. Someone who starts right now, Elvis's sales are almost 100 years pretty soon. So he started, a long time ago with the sales. The same with F-16s. F-16 started a long time ago being promoted in this war, for instance. So they will have a bigger, how should I put it, commercial advertising session than the other ones. Let's go to the next topic, which is Zelensky increases Ukraine's military spending by $12 billion. Right? Signs law increasing. How in the hell? Who gives you this? I mean, we know that Ukraine, the government, with the pensions, with all the bureaucrats, with the school teachers, with all that, they are alive and survive with their salaries and all that because of the American government decided to give it from us their money that they print, that they will have to pay back through the inflation. That's how it is. The inflation is going to fuck us up, and higher taxes. So he's having 12 billions receive the money from wherever, banking system, through countries. So countries, you and I, in our name, this money is, let's say, borrowed in our name from international banking system that you don't own the names. And then in our name, which is going to be, we pay for it. They give it to, let's say, Raytheon, or Lockheed Martin, or other military arms companies. They give them, they produce the whatever, and they give it to us, since we gonna donate our old garbage over there. And eventually we're gonna pay, and by the way, we have a newer military weapons, great. And these guys get whatever garbage these guys receive. In this case, they receive the money, probably from the Russians, how do you call those? The $300 billion that were frozen by the Europeans. That's stealing. So from the receipts, from the, how they call them, from the whatever they get through their interests. And these guys get $12 billion from whom? Eventually from you and me. Those could be used in some other areas. Nevertheless, so let's read and see how much that means as a budget. Ukrainian military is getting more money from where? For the fighting against the Russian attack under a new law signed by Zelensky, which had previously been passed by parliament. Local media reported on Saturday that the newly law increases military spending by around $12 billion. How are you making this money? You're a bankrupt country. The boost will be financed by loans. Taxes of whom? Of the loans. Because this functions like Romania. Romania, the country, receives money from Brussels, from international banking systems. They give it to the bigger employer, which is the government. Give it to those guys that have jobs. It's a socialist country over there. They give it to those guys, and then they buy products. And then you tax them from something you received. Like, for instance, let's say in the state of Michigan. In the state of Michigan, the employees are paid by the government. That money comes from the private sector. So the private sector pays, let's say, my income. Let's say I'm a investigator working for the state, let's say, of Michigan. I'm paid a salary, and they take taxes out of it. And I say, God damn, they took taxes out of my salary or whatever, my income. No, you didn't pay shit, because that money you didn't earn it. That was given from someone else's taxes. So that's taxes that were taxed. So shut the fuck up. The same here. Oh, the Ukrainians paid taxes. No, they don't pay taxes. They pay taxes from the loans that were given to them. It's not there. They didn't produce. They didn't produce. That's a loan. You get the money and then get some of it, give it back to the government. And then, we have to pay taxes. That's how they get it. And they will, from income given by someone else, who is taxed the shit out of, and the inflation plays another part in our decreasing standard of living here. Here it is. So 12 billion. The boost will be financed by loans, taxes, and increase in duties on tobacco and fuel. Oh my God. The increase is to be used. That means you're going to pay more for these things. Increase to be used to pay frontline allowance for soldiers this month. You see, this increase is to be used to pay for frontline allowances for soldiers. So the loans and all these things. And it is right here. This will increase the budget spending by around 13% to the equivalent of over $90 billion. 90.5, a record for Ukraine. Ukraine says it has received over $98 billion in financial aid from abroad since the war began in February 2022. Remember? No, 98. And this is for a year, 90.5. Now let's look at the list and see who's got the money. So, world total. United States of America, right there. Let me just make it a little bit like that. All right, here it is. United States. This is in billions, right? How much is this? No, right, almost $1 trillion. This is almost $1 trillion. This is how much? Is $916 billion. From GDP is 3.4, right? 3.4. Now, in the world of global spending, America, the country of the brave and defense, has almost 40%. So these guys have 40% of the global arms manufacturing and spending and whatever. 40%. And they call Russia as being the country who just wants, it's an imperialistic country. Well, Russia is right here. 4%, 4.5, and 37%. I think 37 is bigger than 4.5. Now, Russia has 109 billion. 109 billion. How much these guys had? 90. So, where is it? 109, the other guy is 90. So, 20 billion. And it's growing. Remember, Russia has 145 million people. Ukraine probably is going to have right now about 20-some million people. Their GDP is about, what, 2,000, 1,000 per person nowadays, I think. And the Russians were like 15,000 or something like that. I'm just giving you approximate. Could be 4,000 for the Ukrainians, 18,000 for the Russians, something like this, 2,000, something like that. Remember, the Ukrainians get the money from outside. What do they produce? Tell me when you bought the last time something produced, I don't know, in Russia or in Ukraine. Well, in Russia, I guarantee you got some nuclear fuel for your nuclear power plants. That's one that probably you used. And fertilizer for your food. The same, right? The Ukrainians provide grain, if they're allowed. So there you have the list right here with a big spender who is actually the country that is the peacekeeping of the world. Now you have China far behind, and remember these guys have what, 1.5 billion people, 296, so it's almost 300 billion. Russia right here, India, Saudi Arabia, can you believe Saudi Arabia? And then United Kingdom, Germany, Ukraine right here as it was, France, bigger than France, it's going to be bigger than Germany, bigger than United Kingdom, bigger than Saudi Arabia. It's going to be with India right there, Italy, 35, Poland, 31. But they are coming, they're catching up. Let's see who the Romanians are. Are here anywhere? They're not. Right here. $5.6 billion. So you tell me, who's the person who's trying to arm itself against whom? So if you are the one that you spend 37% of the global military spending, you are defending yourself against whom exactly? When the next one is at 12%, so you are 40% and the other one is, let's say, 12%. 37 versus 12. 12 is China. And you tell me these guys are together, China and Russia, right, will make, 16, and you are 37. And you tell me that the other guys are the danger here? Remember who's the bully here? Who has the capability here? The potential? I don't arm being way ahead of everybody else, but I'm always attacked. Did you see the we are always attacked, our interests, our boys and all that? Why is that? Well, you know, because we are good, we are the best, and we are trying to spread this best thing to everybody else. And some people just, I don't know, oppose it. They don't like that. So stupid. So what do? We just bomb them. Like Iraq. We brought them democracy and freedom because we can. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.